As technology rapidly evolves, the State Farm Innovation Team is building relationships with emerging and established leaders within the smart home industry. We're helping to shape the future, whether it's providing a renter-specific solution in urban markets or technology to enable seniors to stay in their home longer. A smart home puts the customer in control. Now that's something to feel smart about.
So again, we had mentioned we do homeowners insurance, right? Basically, if you have a security system in your home, we will lower your rate by 5%. Why? Because security systems lowers our exposure. Right? Not as many people are going to break in. You've got your fire detection. You've got automatic notification to ADT or Vivint or whoever it might be. It lowers our risk. We basically just partnered with some other things to make those homes even smarter. You might have heard of Lowe's Iris. You can do it yourself. Okay? State Farm partnered with that. We get a kickback. We get a portion of every Iris that they sell at Lowe's, okay, which is do-it-yourself home security. We've also partnered with ADT. We've partnered with Lively as one of our new ones. Canaries. You buy a canary, you take it, you set it down, and it's your security system. You don't have to plug it into anything. Pretty cool. And again, we're going to be able to, State Farm can help you get discounts on that as far as purchasing, as well as lowering your insurance. ADT, big partnership right now. There's a big push to keep people in their homes longer. Why would you want to be in your home longer? Well, when I get old, I don't want to go to a retirement home. I want to stay in my home and be old and stodgy and yell at kids who run through my yard. Okay, that's what I want to do. But if I need assistance, I might not be able to stay there. With a lot of this stuff, that's going to allow me to stay there. My children can check in on me. They can make sure that I took my meds. There's sensors that say when I took my medication, that I opened up the refrigerator, that I fed the dog, things like that. We're tied into all of those different things. Why do we care? If I stay in my home longer, I'm going to keep paying my home insurance longer. So that's that revenue stream that we've already established. It makes me happy to be able to be in my home. It makes State Farm happy because they can keep my money. It makes my family happy because we're providing this great service. So everybody wins. Run through a couple of other things so that we can get to questions, because I know I've been babbling, but hopefully it's been okay, or at least informative. End of life services, everybody comes to end of life, all right? There's a lot of stuff that you got to do at that point in time. If you've never dealt with it before for a friend or a loved one, then you don't know what you need to do. We can help you out with that. The quantified self, that's where I spend a lot of my time. Anybody ever seen a wearable or a fitness tracker, Fitbit, things like that? It's a huge business right now. I think right now in the fitness space, last time I checked, there were 358 different types of wearables that were out there that all track different stuff, okay? Is there a place for State Farm in that? We definitely think so. Because again, if I can keep you healthier, then I can keep you happier, then I can keep you in your home longer. And so we're doing a lot of work, or I personally am doing a lot of work with that. Big one that we've made news with recently, and that's with drones. Anybody ever seen a drone before? Anybody ever fly a drone before? See, and I think it's neat because that, like my area, that's what we do. It's tech research. They're like the full-on tech dorks. Okay, so we hang out with them a lot because they're a lot of fun and they have a lot of toys. But so we fly the drones. But basically, State Farm was the first commercial company, because like we can all fly drones. We can buy one, take it out, fly it. There's some rules that go along with that. But right now, it's illegal in the United States for a company to use drones for commercial profit or to make money off of it. Like it's illegal for a farmer to fly drones over their fields to check them out with the camera because they're going to make money off of that. Do they? Well, yeah, they do, because they're out in the middle of nowhere and nobody's going to see them. But as far as like Amazon, can they do deliveries? Yes, not in the U.S. Like they're practicing and they're doing it in other places, but they can't in the U.S. State Farm was the first commercial company to get what's called an FAA exemption, or the Federal Aviation Administration okay to start practicing and piloting these. And so basically we got two. Well, we definitely got one, which is Sky Scout. That's not right. Wrong pictures. But basically what that is that's a fixed wing airplane. Okay, so like basically like a big model or a big model plane. And what we would use that for is in catastrophe situations. So like we had the tornadoes up in Washington a little while ago. Basically what they would do that is they would take it and they would fly it over that area and get all of the digital imagery, overlay that on a map, on a GPS map, so they could find all of the specific locations, overlay that on top of a customer chart, basically, and they would be able to look and say, okay, house destroyed, house damaged, house destroyed, house destroyed. State Farm customer, not State Farm customer, State Farm customer, go through it like that. They'd be able to say that that's Mrs. Bonner's house, and call her on her cell phone because she's not in the area anymore. Hey, your house is a total loss. This is how much money we have it insured for. We're directly depositing that money to your account. Make sure that you stay in the hotel. That's going to be covered as well. And we're done. Okay, and nobody even had to go out there. Maybe down the road, one said that we had to have an adjuster go out there and take a look at it. Okay, they know exactly where they need to go. So that's going to save everybody a lot of time, money, effort. If it's your house that got damaged or destroyed, you're going to get things right away. That's going to be a better experience for you. The other one that we're working on is called remote roof. Can we do this yet? No, but we've got what's called a patent, which means that nobody else can do it. If they want to do it the same way, they got to pay us money. So anybody ever have a claims adjuster come to your house? Like, we just got a new roof this last summer. So a guy's got to come out, and he gets a ladder, he goes up on your roof, looks, he's like, oh yeah, there's some damage, you know, that type of thing. Well, half of our employee force are claims adjusters. How many houses do you think you can get up on in one day? Now, the downside of a lot of that is if you're climbing on the roof, sometimes people fall off. Okay, that's no good for the person who fell off. That's no good for the company that employs them, because then I got to pay for that. You can't go get on another roof, all that sort of stuff. We're working with drones right now. So that claims adjuster goes out there with a drone, goes over, flies it up on top, looks around, and it says, okay, damage here, damage here, damage there. The whole thing isn't damaged. We'll give you X amount of money for your roof. Here's your check. Go to the next one. So pretty cool technology. Can we do that right now? No, we can't, because the visual imagery technology isn't good enough. So the cameras that we put on them, they're just not there yet. Are they going to be? Yeah. So we're using 3D visual technology as well as what's referred to as spectroscopy to basically scan all of those roofs or figure out how to do it. Siding identifier, a new one that we're pushing through. I think we just announced that. Basically, anybody ever have siding damage before? Hail, that type of thing? The way that we used to do it is if that got damaged, we'd cut off a piece and we'd mail it to this guy who was down in the basement at corporate headquarters, like from all over the US. If they couldn't tell what type of siding that was, because in most situations, it's only going to be one side of your house that's going to get damaged, right? Like, you're not going to have damage all over the place from the storm. It comes from one side. Well, when we replace that one side, you kind of want to match the rest of it. So we need the original manufacturer, everything like that. They don't stamp that all over. So what they do is they cut off a piece and they'd send it to Dave, and he'd look it up, and he'd look through all the different hundreds of thousands of colors and manufacturers and things like that, and he'd be like, oh, here it is. And we came up with an app. Again, visual identification. So you take that, you put it up there, there's your photo. Hey, there's your match. This is what it is. We can get that. So pretty cool technology. And again, we're saving time. It's time for the company. It's benefit for the customer. Everybody's happy in the end. How do we source ideas? We get ideas from all over the place. My group comes up with everybody in the company. We have a site that we can put those ideas in. Externally, we work with universities. We work with startup incubators. Anybody know what that is? An incubator? Anybody know what an entrepreneur is? What's an entrepreneur?
Someone who has an idea that they want to make a business out of.
Somebody who has an idea. And in most of the situations, those ideas aren't things like transporters and teleporters and things like that. When we talk about innovation, innovation is generally, and most of the time, it's identifying a problem and then finding a new way to solve it. Not the old way, but a new way. These entrepreneurs say, hey, I've got a good idea. I want to make a business out of that because that's a problem that other people have. I'm not the only one. And so then they make a business out of it. We work with a lot of what are called incubators. Incubators are buildings where entrepreneurs come. So you pay really low rent, you have access to resources, that type of thing. I'm the relationship manager for a health and wellness incubator up in Chicago. I go up there about every month, and I talk to all these different startup companies and see if any of them align with things that we're trying to do. Some of them do, most of them don't, but that's okay. A couple of months ago, I was out in Boston. We just formed a relationship with an incubator out there called Massachusetts Challenge. It's harder to get into there as an entrepreneur than it is to get into the Harvard School of Business. So that's a big push right now. So a lot of you guys, you're gonna grow up and work for State Farm? Maybe. Maybe you're gonna grow up and start your own company. You might need some help with that company. While I was out in Massachusetts, I talked with a startup that, anybody ever seen those concussion helmets for football? Where it's like a little sleeve that go over red light, yellow light, green light, and basically what it does is it registers or it monitors how much force was in the hit. They partnered with Reebok. The name of the company is MC10. And then they sold that, or they partnered with Reebok because Reebok can mass produce it. I went out and met with MC10 because we wanted for them to do something a little bit different for us. Are they going to be able to do that? No, not right now. They're focusing on something else. 3 to 5 years from now, when they change their focus, or if we change ours, then maybe so. But it was kind of cool to go out and talk to those guys. Intellectual property, basically, if you come up with an idea, you can patent it. That's what I got. Any questions?
I'll start off, Mr. Moore. Okay, so I really liked what you had to say about traditional thinking needs to be changed, which is one of our primary goals in here. And you called your team of freaks due to the different ways that you have to think about things in your team. So one of the challenges that we'll have next week, we'll have to make our own team proposal where we're going to have to really start generating those freakish ideas. Do you have any advice for us as we move forward, not only collectively working as a team, but maybe really thinking outside the box?
I would say that my biggest recommendation would probably be think big. That's one of the things that we do a lot of. We call them brainstorming or ideation sessions. We identify a problem and then we try and fix it. And when we throw that problem out to people, it's very easy to go with the same thing that's always been done. Well, yeah, if you're doing things exactly the same as you've always done them, then you're not going to get a different result. So think big. Now, a lot of times when people think big, then they're like, oh, well, this won't happen, you know, you can't do it because of this or that. So thinking big and then being ready to pivot. Okay, so maybe you want to do something, but then you've got all of these things that are going to stop you from doing it or hindering it. Don't pretend like they don't exist. Acknowledge them and figure out a way around them. Other questions?
When it comes to researching, what kind of technology do you use?
I'm a big fan of the Googly. Big fan of Google. Because it's out there. And when we talk about innovation, there's a book that's out there called The Innovator DNA, and that's the innovation Bible where I work. Personally, I don't think it's a good book. I think it's ignorant. And I think that somebody recognized the fact that there's a problem. And basically what he did was he applied, everybody familiar with the scientific method from science class, where you make an observation and then you make a hypothesis and you do experiments and everything like that. Basically, the guy changed some wording and order and made a book and has made millions and millions of dollars. But when we look at research, one of those innovator DNAs is networking. Okay, I figured out fast that I am not the sharpest tool in the shed. Okay, by any stretch of the imagination. But I know lots of people. And that's one of the things that you're going to see with a lot of successful people. They might not be able to carry the one and do good math. I can't. That's why I married a math teacher. I don't even have to carry the one anymore. But what you do is you align yourself with specialists. You align yourself with people who have done that before. So rather than trying to figure out how to do it, I just pull in somebody else and they, hey man, how do you do this? Because they're the ones who work that out all the time. Which it sounds like that's what you guys kind of have on your list. As far as grant writing and things like that, find out who has done it and who has been successful, and go through them, because they might just know it from the hip. So, other questions?
What kind of work environment do you work in?
I work in a very strange work environment for State Farm. Anybody ever been into our corporate buildings before? Cubicles, we refer to those as prairie dogs or gophers. So, you know, you stand up and you kind of look around type thing, and it's very regimented and everything like that. When they built the innovation department, they recognized the fact that environment has a lot to do with creativity. And so it's very different. Have you been in to the innovation area at your mom's work? Right. I've been there for almost a year so far. I brought Shaggy in because he was sick and I had to get my computer. Nobody else has been there. But so we have a very open space. We have comfortable seating. We have walls that you can write on and then erase it, and other areas are just like, oh, that's crazy. Yeah, painted walls. Woo.
Sounds like Google.
Yeah, and so a lot of the different startup areas, that's what they're doing. We went to in my group, we have what's called a collaborative work environment. So we've got 20 people, we've got a few great big tables, some of them are sit-stand so you can stand up. Nobody has an assigned seat, you go wherever you want. And my job's different, because if I want to go somewhere else to do it, then I can't.
All right, thank you.